It has been nearly 5 years since Metallica released Hardwired to Self-Destruct, and since then, Metallica didn't release any new music. But there has been a lot of news about Metallica working on a new album. So what should we expect, or what should we hope to see in their next album? Well, let's see. Metallica in the 80s have been known to create epic album openers, full of melodies, harmonies, solo, and should be thrashy as hell. We see that in a song like Fight Fire with Fire, Battery, and Blackened. They all fulfill the standards of a classic Metallica opener. On the Black Album, Load and Reload and Stain Anger, Metallica didn't do such songs because the albums were strictly experimental, so they did album openers that served different things and that coexisted with the album style. On Death Magnetic, the return of the epic album openers with the classic layout returned again with That Was Just Your Life, with the melodic parts in the intro of the song, with a really speedy main riff, and with a harmony and an epic solo, which was great as it checked the classic album opener layout as Metallica were back to the roots. However, the last Metallica album, Hardwired, completely lacked a long epic opener. The opener was hardwired, which contradicts everything a classic Metallica opener should do. Don't get me wrong, I love the song and I think it's a good album opener, but it was too short and too straight to the point that it lacked Metallica intros and harmonies and long epic solos, which is kinda disappointing. So Metallica should go back and make another song that has a melodic intro, fast main riff, harmonies, For me, a number 4 Metallica power ballad is a tradition that we fans seek out and get excited about. A tradition that started with Ride the Lightning and made its way to the entirety of the Metallica's discography in some way or another, with Fade to Black, Sanitarium 1, The Unforgiven, Until It Sleeps, The Unforgiven 2, and The Day That Never Comes. It became such an iconic thing that for me, if there is no number 4 power ballad and there is a ballad somewhere else, it irritates me. For example, Hardwired to Self-Destruct. We have a great semi-ballad called Halo on Fire. Such a masterpiece, but it is in number 6 in the track list, not number 4. So I'm looking forward to see the return of the number 4 power ballads with the exact same classic Metallica ballad style on the 11th Metallica album. James' guitar solos have become such an iconic part of Metallica's discography, and fans do love them a lot. James proved mostly to have ballady, melodic solos, bluesy rock and roll stuff, and full-on speed. And fans always love them. So it would be such a selling point for the new album if we were to have another James solo on the new album. Even if it's only one, that's enough. And we know if James starts working on something, he will keep improving it till it's perfected. And I do not think there are any bad James solos on Metallica's discography. On Death Magnetic, we did have the return of James solos after an album that had no solos at all, which was Saint Anger. But for some reason, there was none on Hardwired, only Kirk stuff. So hey James, we are waiting for another one of your amazing solos. Another thing that we finally had on Death Magnetic after lots and lots of years of not having it, and was also avoided on Hardwired, is an instrumental. Death Magnetic was back with another epic instrumental, which was Suicide and Redemption, that earned its place on the Metallica Instrumental Club with Anesthesia, The Call of Cthulhu, Orion, To Live Is To Die, and then Suicide and Redemption. And fans were expecting another one, since we were back to the roots, but for some unknown reason, we never had it. And that kinda sucked. Like, imagine an instrumental in Hardwired style. That would have been cool. So after another 5 years of no new music, and 13 years of no new instrumentals, Metallica, we really want one in the next record. If the record wants to be classic Metallica style, it should include an instrumental piece. Kirk has been known to be one of the most important writers in Metallica in terms of music. He wrote some of the band's most important and most iconic riffs, such as Master of Puppets chorus riff, and Enter Sandman main riff. And of course, most of the best solos Metallica has to offer. But on Hardwired, he didn't provide either of those things. He lost his phone that he had recorded all his riffs on, so he wrote nothing for the album. And on the album, when it comes to guitar solos, he really didn't do that good a job. Like, compare Kirk stuff on Ride the Lightning and Justice for All to Hardwired. Solos were really, really not great. Kirk did a completely random job with no distinct melodies and part that would really, really make you fall in love with his solos, such as Disposable Heroes from Master of Puppets, or such as Creeping Death from Ride the Lightning. We all know Metallica are absolute geniuses when it comes to writing melodic interludes. They did that on Master of Puppets, and on To Live Is To Die, and on My Friend of Misery. When it comes to the era of We Were Back to the Roots on Death Magnetic era, Metallica wrote a kinda mediocre one on the end of the line. And a beautiful one on Suicide and Redemption. And really, that era in general proved that Metallica could still write beautiful and masterful interludes, just like the one from Just a Bullet Away from Beyond Magnetic. Just beautiful. When it comes to Metallica, when they were back to the roots on Hardwired, there were none, no melodic interludes whatsoever, and I suppose you guys, adore that Metallica feature. We need it back on the new album to help make it a perfect classic Metallica album. Metallica has a very strict sound police these days. They don't go into dangerous experiments that would mean uncertain reactions from the fans. When Metallica experimented on the Black Album, Load, Reload, and Saint Anger, they did produce a lot of masterpieces, but they were completely bashed by the fans. But now Metallica are playing it as safe as possible. They did make a lot of great, amazing tracks that are really worthy Metallica songs, but that doesn't mean that I don't want the experimentation. I'm not saying to make another Load or another Saint Anger, but allow the opportunity for Kirk and Rob to do innovative stuff that they can do and like to do, and don't make the Metallica sound police silence their creativity. Rob really proved to be a worthy Metallica bassist. On both albums that he worked on, Hardwired and on Death Magnetic, he brought a lot of cool material to the table, like he did with All Nightmare Long and Spit Out the Bone, for example. He really brought some incredible and catchy ideas to these albums. I hope to see more of that on the next album. That is something that kinda scares me, that Metallica's new album would be just Hardwired Part 2, with the same philosophy in terms of songwriting, which is something I really don't want to happen. Metallica never made an album twice, and I really don't hope that happens here. Hey, we really all enjoyed Moth into Flame and Spit Out the Bone, but it's time to move on and do something in a different style and tone and feel. Just like And Justice for All is entirely different than Ride the Lightning.